What's going on, everyone? Today we're here with Charles Clark. Now, many of you who watch the show Empire, you'll recognize him as one of Exhibit's top goons, and he stands out very well on the show. So, Charles, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Now, Charles, you are a working actor, but you are a pretty good sized brother. Now, have that ever translated into outside of stereotypical roles for you as an actor, being your size?
In the beginning, it did, but now it's much more. Now I've diversified by going for more riskier roles, such as, for instance, I do a lot of detective roles now for TV1, the ID channel, and the movie that's been selected to Charlotte Black Film Festival 53206. So I think when you look at people like Michael Clark Duncan, God rest his soul, and other people with the football Debo type look. Um, I wanted to break into other more sensitive roles, like the father, the guy next door, pastor roles. So yeah, at first it did, but now I think it's more of a pathway to being diverse in that particular part of the film industry.
Yeah, because we see what, let's say, movies like Black Panther had amazing success, and now that has really changed a lot of things in Hollywood due to the immense success. Because there was a stereotype that black films could not get the budget or wouldn't do well worldwide. Now, since you are in Hollywood, you're definitely a black male. How is the opportunity starting to come up a little bit more since the success of Black Panther?
Um, I think it's broad in a lot of ways, and I think we can realize that. I mean, it's going way back to Sidney Poitier. Um, um, you know, um, you look at those actors such as Louis Fishburne, who back then who opened up the ways for us now. But with Black Panther, it definitely showed that um, Black Hollywood is definitely standing out. We deserve more, bigger roles, and we deserve bigger chances, as far as budget wise in Hollywood. So I think it's definitely opening doors. It's definitely bringing a recognition to the talent for African Americans, which I think is great for anybody, especially for our youth. So I'm definitely happy about the success of Black Panther. Looking forward to Black Panther 2 and anything else, as far as African American film. But yeah, I mean, it definitely been making a difference.
So we look at your role on Empire. Now, how did you land that role?
So, real quick, my testimony. My father died when I was 6. So that devastated me in so many ways. Actually, April the 8th is his death anniversary, which led me to the streets. I was a big time drug dealer. I was a gang banger, and I did nearly 8 years in prison. Basically, my whole entire 20s, I was incarcerated in federal prison. So somebody said, Charles, you change your life around. You in the psychology field. I know you're trying to get into acting. Empire, you have a background role, but not a role, but background for a drug dealer. And I was like, I don't know about that. And they said, no, it's background, but you got to get a start somewhere. And I drove 13 and a half hours. I took off from my job for those 3 days. I drove 13 and a half hours. And then something hit me when I first seen Terrence and Trey and Jesse and all of them. The first round I didn't see Taraji. I just knew there's something I wanted to do. So they called me back for some more background, crowd scenes and whatever. But I never got seen in none of those, episodes. I went there 7 times, and my boss said, "Listen, Charles, you're up for a promotion. I'm making 20 some dollars an hour as a behavioral specialist. Say, Charles, you're up for a promotion. We can't allow you to have no more days off. You have to pick between your beginning of your acting career or this job." And God told me, acting, because I have something there for you that's greater. And so I was obedient. And even my daughter, my 7-year-old daughter says, Daddy, I believe in you. Go for it. You're going to be okay.
Hmm.
So the eighth time that I went there, I was overcasted. And that was the day they were shooting the scene, with Exhibit and, some of the, goons. And it was actually Exhibit's birthday, which was very unique. And I guess they wasn't pleased with one of the goons they had up there. They told him to get down off the stage for the scene, and they called me up. And the guy was like, like you've been, you look, intimidating. I said, well, I don't come off. I hope I don't come off as intimidated. I'm just, I hit the weights a little bit. I got my size when I went to prison. So, long story short, they did a camera test. I was a goon for that day. Less than 2 weeks later, I received an email to come back, and I was the director's pick reoccurring as one of Shine main goons. And from then on, as you look through the episodes, you see that I went from the background as a goon to now I'm on the forefront. Another other goon guy, Benjamin Oliver. He's one of the originals since day one. So it's just a great experience. I mean, when God tell you to do something, just do it. And because of Empire, it's like a jumping board to a lot of other things that I've done. I've literally got picked because I was on Empire for other things. So it has its perks.
Yes, and I heard you what you were saying earlier about you was in a life of crime. You went to prison and you turn your life around. And there's so many brothers that do go through what you went through and they don't make it out like you made it out. And how you are a success story. And I tell brothers all the time, man. I said, listen, you may have some trouble in the past, but you don't have to stay in that. And there's a way to turn yourself around. So when you got out, because that's the hardest time from what I talk to a lot of men who dealt with that in our community. How is it that did you got to transition out and say, okay, I'm getting out of federal prison, I got to get a decent job, because a lot of times it's hard for even men to get jobs.
Well, pretty much I learned this is that when you stereotype yourself, when you limit
Hmm.
yourself, then it's viewed by others as what you feel upon your inner being. When I came out, I already knew that I wasn't going to be the guy who was looking for sympathy or the pity role. Hey, whatever. No. When I came out, I presented myself as someone who never did time. I presented myself as someone who was hungry and showed them why I was a great asset to their company or to their projects. So I think that's one of the biggest things we have to realize that even though they put a title on you, you have to wear that title. You wear the title that God gave you. And I mean, look at the transition. I mean, I was once in that type of realm of destruction and disaster with the drug dealing and gang banging and been involved with so many things. Now, I had to tap back into that in order to be a goon on Empire. Uh, who knows better about a detective or FBI than the criminal? I've been across the other side, so I know how detectives can come at you. I know how FBI can come at you, and that's the reason why TV1 showed me so much love in the projects that I've done as lead detective or interrogator. So my testimony actually is working in my favor. It's authentic, and one of the reasons why God put me in this platform is not about the red carpet and the bright lights and who's the best actor and everything else. It's honest because I'm showing people my testimony is that while giving God the glory, I would rather see somebody kill somebody in a movie or a TV show rather than in the streets. Because what happens is that when the director says cut, everybody lives. In the streets, when the street says cut, you're done. So I use that when I do my motivational or transformational speaking. I have like what 8 awards now as a motivational speaker, inspiring thousands of people, being followed and loved by some of the biggest names in Hollywood, from Ice T to Terry Crews and so forth. My mentor Devon Franklin and Megan Good Franklin. So I'm truly blessed. But I tell people, God did not bless me in this way for me; it's for others. So me being in the performative arts is not about popularity. It's about changing lives, and I'm happy that God chose me for this position.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that. And you say that your little girl, was encouraging you as well to go into acting. Now, when you made that choice from leaving the job, would you say, it's hard for a lot of men to come from, where you came from and even get a good job, and then now you faced with a choice. Well, leave this job, I have a family, or go act. How fearful was that choice?
Very fearful. I mean, I'm 6'1", 270 pounds of man, but still the fear of just the survival in this world, with the economy. I have a stable job, great benefits, up for promotion. I'm about to give all that up for background on a prime time show, but it's not. It's just a background. But my daughter saw something more into me, and I didn't want to let her down. Her, my mom, and the people in my circle. However, that's what faith is. I got crazy faith, and once, like I said, once I got a taste of that set life, that was my first major set, to build, Empire. That's a prime time, #1 show on Fox. So to be in that and absorb that atmosphere, and then I met so many great people. Exhibit, shout out to Exhibit, man. He's just phenomenal, man. Phenomenal. He's a legend, pioneer in hip hop, and one great actor. And then my bro, who's one of my mentors as well, Raekwon, who is he started off as one of Sean's top goons. He was the main one, and then he got upgraded in the storyline as the head engineer of the entire Empire Corporation. Shout out to Raekwon. So when I meet people like them and absorb that, my fear started to deplete. It was like, okay, you know what? God is going to supply all that is needed. Go for it. And I've been doing this for almost 2 years now as a full-time professional actor.
Right, and one thing you mentioning, and some people mention a lot of times say, "Oh, well, God's going to help me, or God's going to do this." But the thing is, you have to actually take the steps. You have to actually do what you're supposed to do, and then God definitely will help you. Because some of us, we'll say, "Oh, we depending on God and waiting on God." A lot of times, God waiting on you.
Yeah, it's sort of like one of the things I use in one of my speaking engagements. You stand in the highway, you see a big red truck coming, and you say to yourself, "Well, God loves me. I believe in God. He's gonna stop that truck. God gave you legs. If you don't move, you get hit." So
Right.
it's one of those scenarios, and that's what the Bible says: "Faith without works is dead." Um, God want to see how bad you want it. People don't understand that your tribulation is the birth of your triumph, and your challenges are more heavier than internet in your life. It's heavy, it's challenging, it's overwhelming. But that's when you build something. It's sort of like when you're building a house. Building a house is not easy, but once it's done, it's finished. Guess what happens? It looks beautiful on the outside. During the winter times, when it's cold or whatever, you have somewhere to stay. It's a place where you raise a family. So that's what God is saying. God is saying, I want you to build your home. I will give you the things that you need, the tools you need, for it. And once you complete it, live in it, enjoy it. Absorb the hard work, and the pleasure of your labor. So yeah, you definitely have to put in the work. And so many people, something happens, they ready to quit and give up, and it's like, man, you're so close. Anytime it gets harder, it's about to get better. But it's that little couple of seconds that takes away from that, and then a lot of people don't recover from it. So all we do is can pray and kind of do the best we can.
Yeah, because when it comes to trials and tribulations, even let's say, especially say you're in a marriage or with your children, trials and tribulations don't come to destroy you; it comes to make you better. And if it is
Hmm.
destroying you, that means you gave up. You didn't believe, definitely within yourself, because we all gonna deal with trials and tribulations, and that's something that we all need to recognize as well. Because I remember, man, a few things I've been through, and I look back on it. I'm actually glad I went through it because it made me better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all come into this world as a caterpillar. There's a point in time where it's time for us to turn to a butterfly, and the process of that is when a caterpillar is in this cocoon, uh, it pushes to break through that, and the blood goes into their pre-made veins that pushes out the wings and turn them to a beautiful butterfly. What's so unique about that is if someone come and break the cocoon and pull the caterpillar out, the caterpillar can never become a butterfly because of you breaking the process. It has to go through its full process. So that's why I tell people, become a butterfly, stay in your cocoon, push, let your wings grow, fly to higher levels.
Yeah, so Charles, with that said, could you tell everyone about your upcoming projects that you have and where we can watch them at?
Yes, right now, I did a detective role in Mr. Mercedes on the Direct TV May 1st. Evil Stepmothers on the ID channel. I play the lead interrogator. That's coming up. So remember, May the 1st, I believe it's at 10 o'clock. Again, the ID channel. 53206 Milwaukee. It's a full featured film. As I said before, I'm heading to Charlotte right now, about 30 miles away. We got selected for the Charlotte Black Film Festival, the Las Vegas Black Film Festival. As soon as I get that the date when it's going to hit the theaters, whatever, I'll let everybody know. But I'll just follow my Facebook page. You will see on my Instagram, you will see the promotion and the journey to the opening. But yeah, there's 5 other things that I can't speak on. But as soon as I get the green light, brother, I'm pretty sure you and I are going to be networking after this. So I will make sure I keep you informed. But I can say this right here: God is definitely doing some great things in my life. I just another thing is too the diner. I play the actual killer. It's a horror flick. My first lead role. Um, if you go to my Instagram page, see Clark Inspire, you will see the pictures of the finishing product of the character that they created of me, which took 3 hours of makeup. And so I'm in everything, man. I'm just happy, blessed. I want to see everybody win.
Yeah, and I'm glad like I said to hear this. Like I say, you turned your life around. You're acting now. You're working. You're hustling, and that's the great thing because like I say, we could hustle to do wrong, and we also hustle to do good things as well.